Matt Bernie, you're taking a look at the DRFBets race of the day for Thursday, July the 4th. The 4th of July feature at Belmont Park, race number 8. 1 mile on the Widener turf course for 3-year-olds. It's the $100,000 Manila Stakes. Before we dive into the field, head on over to bets.drf.com. All the latest and greatest as far as new sign-up offers are concerned. Existing members, they get all sorts of great deals as well. Bets.drf.com is where you need to go for all the details. Let's take a look at the field of 3-year-olds going this 8-furlong distance on the Widener Thursday afternoon. Free formulator past performances are available over on the Race of the Day page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along. I'll take the field in post-position order. We'll begin with the number 1, Pulsate. Going out for Robert Roboto. This is a horse that most recently tried that Paradise Creek. A number of horses exiting the Paradise Creek, including the winner Pulsetter, will be coming back here in this spot. No pace signed on that day for a horse like Pulsate to run at. But if we're being honest, it seems like Pulsate, from a Timeform US standpoint anyway, he hasn't really improved from the end of his 2-year-old form to this point here as a 3-year-old. Buyers would suggest otherwise. There's a part of me, though, that feels like if you're going to use him underneath at all, if at all. The 2 current, I want to give him a puncher's chance to get back into form here for Todd Pletcher. Jose Ortiz has the mount. Most recently tried the Murphy Stakes down at Pimlico. That was on Preakness weekend. Ran decent enough given the fact that there was no pace really for him to run at. It was his first turf start since the Dania Beach back at the beginning of February. They had tried him on dirt in the Florida Derby. It didn't work. The form of that Murphy is a little bit hit or miss because Real News and Shooting the Breeze, they came back and earned buyers of 86 and 83 in their next starts. The problem is Real News then came back and disappointed in his subsequent start out of that. So the form's a little bit off, but I look at a horse like Current and say, with a little bit more pace, I think he's going to be able to come with a run. Don't know if a mile is really his game. He's always sort of, to me anyway, felt like a horse that longer will be better. We'll find out. I think Current's one you may want to use underneath, though, and maybe a little bit of a price. The 3 is Ian Glass going out for Tom Morley. John Velasquez has them out this time around. Ran in that Paradise Creek most recently. Again, the pace situation not advantageous for a horse like this. His best runs have come when he is forwardly placed. I think it's up to Johnny V to try to get him into the run early. The problem is I don't know that he's got the kind of gas necessary to get to the front. Having said that, the run 2 starts back at Laurel Park. He got his opening quarter mile in 23 seconds. If he does that here on Thursday afternoon, he's in with a puncher's chance to get a piece of this thing. I don't love him on top, but maybe you could be using him underneath at a big number in exotics. The 4 is Pulsetter, the winner of the Paradise Creek most recently for trainer Brad Cox. Brad Cox is just rolling along, clipping off at 40% as of the recording of this race. I think there's going to be a different, personally anyway, I think there'll be a different trip coming for this horse because most recently he set the fractions in that Paradise Creek. They were slow according to Timeform US. Although Timeform US has him on the lead. Let's take a look at the pace projector. You see they go 4, 6, and 5. If that's the case, if you like Pulsetter, you got to be intrigued by that because if he's allowed to get out there and dictate things again on the front end, he's going to be tough to run down. I just cannot imagine Ian Glass allowing him to go that easy. I think Ian Glass is the speed nearest the rail. At the very least, hopefully you keep a horse like Pulsetter honest early on. I would imagine you revert back to sort of a pressing situation if that's the case for Pulsetter. And you know what? If the pace projector's accurate, maybe this is all a moot point and he just goes to the front and says, come and catch me. Pulsetter, another one you do need to respect in a race like this. I picked him 4th. The 5, Casa Creed, comes out of the Penn Mile. A pretty solid effort. 87 buyer speed figure, 114 raw Timeform US rating. Couldn't quite get to Moon Colony. Moon Colony had a much better trip down on the inside than Casa Creed did. There's a part of me that wonders if he moved up on that yielding turf course, but nonetheless, this is a horse that his run most recently in 3 starts back as well in the Palm Beach, those put him right there at the wire in a spot like this. Casa Creed, definitely one you want to consider. The 6th place finisher coming out of that Penn Mile most recently was a next out winner with an 80 buyer. I made mention of Real News earlier. He came out of that Penn Mile, and they ran him on dirt. He only earned a 78 on that surface down at Churchill, but realistically, he's probably a better turf horse than a dirt horse, so maybe you don't want to hold that race against him. Casa Creed, another one, I think, in with a puncher's chance. The 6, Fog of War, goes out for Chad Brown. Blinkers go on for the first time. Javier Castellano retains the mount. A very promising 2-year-old. Looked like he was going to be something leading into the Breeders' Cup. Unfortunately, was injured. Went away for a long time. Came back in the Paradise Creek. Really a disappointing effort, but he's another one that if you just want to look at it and say, first start off of a long layoff, had no pace to run at, and he probably needed one anyway, maybe you can give him the benefit of the doubt. Usually Chad's horses off the bench show something, and I never thought Fog of War looked comfortable at any point. The equipment change happens this time around. The blinkers go on. I'm going to be very, very intrigued with this horse. To me, he's the most interesting horse in the race long term. I just don't know what you're going to get here, both from a value standpoint as well as actually what we're going to get from him on the racetrack. Fog of War, he's a horse that I'm fascinated with. He's not one that I'm going to be picking on top. I picked him second. I think long-term, he's the most intriguing one coming out of this race. I just don't know what to expect here on Thursday afternoon. The 7, my buddy Win. Goes out for Mike Trombetta. Trombetta had a big weekend at Woodbine this past run with a horse called Wet Your Whistle, winning the Grade 1 Highlander. Win tries grass for the first time. Julian Pimentel retains the mount. From a pedigree standpoint, I don't know if I love the prospects of this horse moving over to the grass. I do think the sort of turn back to the one-turn configuration, a one-turn mile, will be beneficial for him. This is going to be an interesting race because it will it'll tell the connections if, okay, A, grass is something that now we can factor in going forward. If the one-turn configuration is just that much better for a horse like this as opposed to 2 turns. And C, if they need to stop on him. Because he's had a lot of running throughout that early portion of the 2019 campaign. They tried to get him onto the Derby trail. He ran in the Derby, ran in the Preakness. Now he comes back here in this spot. To me, I'm going to be fascinated to see, A, if he takes to the turf, and B, if he just gets back to a good effort. Because there's a part of me that does wonder, is this nothing more than a means to an end, a bridge to get back to the main track? Because we know what he's capable of in those one-turn races on dirt. The 8, Clint Maroon, another Todd Pletcher entrant in here. Rad Ortiz retains the mount. He most recently tried the Pennine Ridge. The Pennine Ridge, in my opinion, the quality of that race, considerably better than the Paradise Creek and considerably better than the Penn Mile. You're going to have a number of those horses running in the Belmont Derby this upcoming weekend. Clint Maroon, I like the turn back in distance for him. I also like the fact that he can sit just off the pace and still be effective. He did so 3 starts back down at Gulfstream Park, sitting off early and then going and making his move. To me, he could work out an ideal trip in a spot like this. And I have to be honest, I thought he ran pretty well in that Pennine Ridge, despite the fact that he was run down and ultimately finished 5th in a field of 7. But I just think the likes of DeMarchelier and Seismic Wave and Social Paranoia, I just think they're all so much better than the horses that he's running against here on Thursday afternoon. Clint Maroon, he's going to be the horse that I'm going with on top. And the number 9, Gentleman Joe, don't want to give this one short shrift, no disrespect to the connections, but most recently a maiden winner, only with a 72 buyer. I know it was against older horses, but the races come back very weak. Gentleman Joe, going to need to run the race of his life by leaps and bounds if he's going to be competitive in this spot. On July the 4th, the Independence Day feature at Belmont Park, race number 8 happens to be the DRFBets race of the day. Where am I going? I'm going to go with the number 8. I like Clint Maroon in here. I like the ability to sit, come with his run. He's run well enough in that most recent run. I know the big run 2 back came when he controlled the pace and was over yielding turf, but I just think Clint Maroon has the right running style, and I think he's facing much weaker horses than he did in that most recent run in the Pennine Ridge. The combination of the tactical ability and the class relief is enough for me. I'm going 8, 6, 2, and 4 in the July 4th DRFBets race of the day, the 8th at Belmont Park. If you're playing this race, any of the other races on Independence Day, you should be playing with DRFBets. Head on over to bets.drf.com. You get all the latest and greatest as far as new sign-up offers are concerned, existing member offers, whatever the case may be, it's all over there. Bets.drf.com is where you need to go. Schedule post time for the 8th at Belmont Park, Thursday afternoon, the Thursday DRF Bets of the race of the day on Independence Day, 5:18 Eastern. Good luck.